Welcome back to the Lightforge podcast, Grinning Goat YouTube. Just our valuations and card previews of Forged in the Barrens expansion. This is ADWCTA.
This is Merps. We're finally getting into the classes. Wow.
Yeah, so we're not going to do this before every single class, but we do have a new tier list. Not a new tier list, sorry. Sorry for all the hopes I just dashed. We do have a new valuation system that we're using compared to what we were doing before for the Dark Moon races. Was no longer a number system. If you've been listening to this whole time, you know the system already. We explain it a lot more in neutrals. So if you really want to dig into the system, just probably like watch the end of the first video where we talk about it a lot, and then that should really cover it. So we're not going to go over all of it, but for the classes, we don't like break it down one by one because it's only like 8 cards and then 2 legendaries or something like that. So we're just gonna go from the best card to the worst card. So we're not gonna keep telling you what A means, what B means, what C means. We assume that you have already watched the very first video or watched all the neutrals, and then you will know what all of these mean. But generally, C is Yeti, B is Basilisk, A is Twin Tyrant, S is, what do we have as S? Oh yeah, Runaway Blackwing, that is not even in the game. And for class cards, like normally A is where I would draw the line for neutrals. Like anything above A, I would just remove out of Arena because they break the game. They make the game unfun. For class cards, I would only remove S tiers. And there are no S tiers in class cards for Forge of the Barrens. So that's good. So overall, this is like a strong expansion by any measure, but it's kind of in check balance-wise.
Yep.
All right.
I think so. Yeah, as you'll see, basically nothing hits S, but S should be that like crazy bonkers. If they printed this, they're insane, which they've done it a handful of times. But we need to reserve something for that. So if you see us not using S, it's just because we've reserved that for stuff that is bonkers insane. It's not supposed to get used.
Yeah.
It's like a break in case of emergency kind of thing,
Yeah.
but it's not for actual use. A is supposed to be like the point in which it stops.
Yeah, like
Anyways.
when we would talk about more on Watch Post earlier, it was all about what a terrible decision this is and how this needs to just not be in the arena from day one, right? That's what S tier is.
Yep. So let's talk about the let's talk about Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter has no S cards and no A cards. There's no A cards.
What? They're not making good Demon Hunter cards? Why could they possibly think to do that?
I know, right? There is one B plus card though, and this B plus card is a legendary. This is Kurtrus Ashfallen. It's a 4-mana 3/4 battle cry. Attack the left and rightmost enemy minions. Outcast, immune this turn. Some people are going to be like, wow, you're insane. This is, if there was ever an S card, this is an S card. Once again, dreamers. Okay, this is dreamers thinking of like, oh man, this scenario that I'm thinking of, literally every time, like literally every time this is going to happen. Number one, it has to be Outcast. Otherwise, it is really not that good. It's like if it's not Outcast, terrible. It's Rush, but you don't actually really get to control.
It's super terrible.
Right. Even when it is Outcast, they don't necessarily have to have 2 minions. Even if they do, it is only quote unquote 3 damage. Now, if you look at the power level of like removals and everything, it's high. It's very, very high. So B plus is where it really falls in the end because it's got potential. It's good. Are you going to save it for the Outcast? Yeah, you should. You should. But that opportunity cost matters. The only 3 damage matters. That's where we're at.
Yeah, B plus is good. Like fireballs are B pluses. Like, yeah. Or I don't know, maybe they're just really high Bs, but whatever. Like the B pluses are really good. They're really good cards. And here you have a multi-shot, basically, a more controllable / maybe less controllable multi-shot, only if it's Outcast, and then you get the 3/4 body. I think the 3/4 body is obviously better than a multi-shot, but it's not like a ton better. You know, like it's like, I don't know, 50 points better at most. If we were on the old tier list scores, like that's how you got to think of it.
But I think this is a good example of an actual B plus card. Okay, the rest of these are B cards. First, we have let's see, Sigil of Flame. Sigil of Flame is a 2-mana fell spell. Remember, we differentiate now. They're all categorized. At the start of your next turn, deal 3 damage to all minions. Wow. It's a Hellfire, but delayed. So at the start of your next turn, your opponents know, but at the end of the day, what are they going to do? They're not going to play anything? Well, you just bought yourself a decent amount of time.
It's a Doomsayer. Like, I know it doesn't kill everything, it only deals 3 damage, but like most of the time, Doomsayers are not taking down huge things, because if there are huge things, it would kill the Doomsayer, right? So it's a riskless Doomsayer, which is huge. The riskless part. Because Doomsayer loses a crap ton of points for the fact that you get totally screwed if they can remove the Doomsayer while like improving their board. Especially if they have like a rush minion or something. So Sigil of Flames, it's pretty damn good. Especially if you have a more control plan, or if you're like just falling apart on the board, like, which is going to happen because swings are everywhere.
Yep. Next we have Vile Call. This is once again a B tier. Vile Call is a 3-mana common spell. Summon 2 2/2 demons with lifesteal. This is just a good, solid on-curve split minion that does exactly what a demon hunter wants to do, which is attack, use its weapons and its hero power to gain a tempo advantage, and then you want to steal back that life because you've been damaging yourself. So if landscaping was pretty decent, this has lifesteal, and it's going on a class which probably even more so than the druid is using its face for tempo. So it's good. It's just not A tier because it's not Twin Tyrant.
Yeah.
It is Basilisk levels of good because it just
the lifesteal
does
matters so much.
The lifesteal matters so much, right? If it didn't have lifesteal, it would not be this good. But lifesteal for Demon Hunter, the split stats, fantastic. Okay, next we have Vengeful Spirit. Vengeful Spirit is a 4-mana 4/4 epic minion. Outcast, draw 2 Deathrattle minions.
Okay, so I'm breaking this down. The 4-mana 4/4, which is not good. We're past the point in which 4-mana 4/4s are okay. 4-mana 4/4s are not okay. 3-mana 3/3s are not okay. This is not an okay stat line to have, especially in Forged in the Barrens, where everything's on curve. This is not okay. 2, you got to outcast it. You're not going to be able to outcast it all the time. You're not even going to be out. Well, you'll probably be able to outcast it most of the time, but not all the time. And it gets awkward and gets stuck in your hand. 3, they're not giving you 2 Deathrattle minions. These are minions you put into your deck. So you need Deathrattle minions in your deck, and you need 2 of them to actually get the 2 cards. So if you get this later on, or if you happen to draw your Deathrattle minions, you're not even going to have that many Deathrattle minions in your deck to begin with. You're going to have like 5 at most, probably like 4. So there is going to be probably less than 4, honestly, but for Demon Hunters, maybe 4. So there are going to be many times in which this is really not going to draw you stuff. And then finally, it's not drawing you a card. It's drawing you a Deathrattle minion. Deathrattle minions are generally not game-changing. They're not board clears. They're not hard removals. They're usually just a minion. So there's a lot of stuff here. We rated it a B for a reason, right? Like, Basilisks are great. This is a good card, but don't look at it and think, what? It's a 4-mana 4/4 that draws 2 cards. It's amazing. Like, Big Ol' Whelp, move aside, right? Like, no, Big Ol' Whelp is a B2. This is about Big Ol' Whelp. It's pretty fair.
Yeah, it's fine. I think some people would even say we're rating a little bit high. I think it's a solid B. It's nowhere close to a B plus at all. But drawing your Deathrattle minions, and there's still some pretty good Deathrattle minions. It's not like there's no good Deathrattle minions in the meta, right?
Yeah. And they added a couple in Forge in the Barrens too.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is fine. If you have to play it, maybe, but you really do want to get the draw out of it. Okay. Next, we have Death Speaker Blackthorne. That is the second legendary. This is going to be also a B. It's a 7 mana 3/6 battle cry. Summon 3 Deathrattle minions that cost 5 or less from your deck. Now, let's see. What is a vanilla 3/6 worth these days? That's like a mediocre 4-drop.
Yeah.
Right? Mediocre 4-drop. You're paying 3 more mana. You need to get something out of it that's worth at least 3 mana. And really more, because if you're delaying it, you need to get something that's like 5 mana for it to be kind of worth it. You should be able to get, like, that's a wide range, because it could cost 5 or less. So anything including 5, right?
It's probably going to cost way less.
Yeah. But it is going to be overstated a decent amount of times on average.
There's on average, it's overstated, and more importantly, like it gets all of your death rattles out of your deck. Like, so you have, like, you know what you're getting. This is not random. These are minions that you have put into your deck, and they are death rattle minions, so they probably don't have battle cries. So they are just solid minions of whatever you're doing. Like, normally when you summon stuff, or whether it's random stuff or whatever, you always have the potential to, like, low roll, right? And then get something that had a nice battle cry, but the body doesn't do anything. Not going to happen here, at least very infrequently. Yeah, sometimes something has a battle cry and a death rattle, but most death rattles just have a death rattle. So you're going to get the good stuff. You just need to make sure you still have 3 death rattles in the deck, or even 2's fine. But if you just have, like, 1 death rattle in the deck, it's a terrible card. Like, remaining.
Yep. They're really pushing this death rattle thing, as you'll see. Anyways, we're moving on to the C plus tier, which we actually have quite a few C plus cards. We have 3 C plus cards, no C cards, strangely. The first C plus card is Tusk Piercer. It is a 1 mana 1/2 rare weapon. Death Rattle, draw a Death Rattle minion. So we're drawing a decent amount of Death Rattle minions. It's okay. Like, it cycles itself, right? It cycles itself, which is why it's a C plus. But the initial effect of the card doesn't really do anything. Light's Justice is really good for Paladin because it can't do something like that normally. Tusk Piercer is just a little bit duplicative with what Demon Hunters do, which is deal 1 damage with hero power and deal 1 damage with all of its, like, 1/1 rush Illidari things. Anyways, so Tusk Piercer, not that great.
Yeah, C plus is fine, right? Like, for what it's a dagger that cycles itself, and a hero power cycles itself normally, right? That's the kind of point of a hero power. So it's like a rogue hero power that you get to borrow for 1 mana less. So you get an extra mana, and then you also get the rogue hero power. That's both pretty nice. But it's even better than the rogue hero power, because you're a demon hunter. Your hero power works on top of your weapon. So it's a buffed up rogue hero power, and you get an extra mana. Everything's a little janky. You're only going to draw a death rattle minion rather than a card, which would be way better. It doesn't happen for 2 turns. But weapons have a way of working out with demon hunters. That's why they had to do stuff like or Aldrachi Warblades. Like, they had to kill that card because weapons are just kind of too good with demon hunters. You can be very flexible and get the exact damage you need. So Tusk Piercer, it's better than it seems, is what I'm gonna leave it at.
I think that's fair. Okay, let's go to Fury, which I should have talked about before this one, but oopsie, that's fine. Fury is also a C plus card. This is a rank card. So the rank cards are something that Blizzard introduced for this expansion. What they do is their base effect, it does that for basically 1 through 5 mana. Once you have 1 through 4 mana. Once you have 5 mana, it upgrades into rank 2, and once you have 10 mana, it upgrades into rank 3. So Fury starts off as a 1 mana Fell spell. Give your hero +2 attack this turn, so 1 mana for +2 attack. Once you reach 5 mana, it gives your hero +3 attack, and on 10 mana, it gives your hero +4 attack this turn. We rated this as a C+. Initiative is decent. But on turn 10, or like on turn 5, +3 attack for 1 mana, it's good, but it's not game-breakingly good. And +4 attack for 1 mana on turn 10, crazy stuff happens on turn 10. Your 1 mana +4 damages. Meh. But still, initiative, cost, it's cost efficient. Not bad.
On turn 10, you really care about your health as a Demon Hunter, probably much more than you care about being efficient at tempo. But it is 4 damage of reach, and you are a Demon Hunter. Yeah. Like, I think people aren't taking into account like the fact that this card is a decent reach card, and Demon Hunter is all about reach.
The reach and the package and what you're trying to do as Demon Hunter, that's what really makes this a C+ card rather than a C. If this were given in other classes without the sort of Demon Hunter package, it would be definitely a C. But in Demon Hunter, I believe it's a C+.
Yeah, and like I said, like it's just the same with weapons, right? Buff, attack, face like cards are all very good in Demon Hunter because they are flexible. You can always get the exact right damage between your hero power and these cards, so they're very, very efficient cards.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now we are moving on to Razorfen Beastmaster. Razorfen Beastmaster is a 3 mana 3/3 Deathrattle. Summon a Deathrattle minion that costs 4 or less from your hand.
Are we at C+ or is this a C?
It's a C+.
C+, yeah.
Although this is one, I can see it being like a C.
It just depends on what you believe about Deathrattles. Here's the thing with this. If you're a Demon Hunter, these are your cards. They nerf Demon Hunters a lot. You can look at the basic set. You can look at the core set. You can look at like what remains of their cards in the like non-Demon Hunter initiate sets that have come out. You gotta go with the Deathrattles. There are Deathrattle synergies everywhere for Demon Hunters, and you're gonna have to lean into it at least a little. So if you're a 3 mana 3/3 that then puts out like a 2-drop when it dies or whatever, like that's fine. You're doing your job, right? You're over tempoing, you're getting rid of the card.
Yep. So that's fine. If you want to argue it's a C, I'm fine with that as well. Like we acknowledge the fact that a vanilla 3 mana 3/3 minion is terrible. It is really, really bad. But during the times in which you are able to tempo out the small Deathrattle afterwards, it's quite good. So.
Yeah, like 3 mana 3/3s are bad because they're bad on curve. But this is an over-tempoed card. So it like negates the badness of the 3 mana 3/3 unless you don't have a Deathrattle, right? If you don't have a Deathrattle, it's just a 3 mana 3/3, it's terrible. But if you have a Deathrattle in your hand, it's not just that like, oh, but it's still just a 3 mana 3/3, it's bad. No, a 3 mana 3/3 with a Deathrattle of even like a 1/1 or whatever, right, is like super good.
Yep. And remember that the Razorfen Beastmaster can summon like 4 Deathrattle minion that costs 4 or less, which includes that super ridiculously overstated 4-drop. And that's quite important. Let's talk about the next card. We're going to D+ category. This is Razorboar. Razorboar is a 2 mana 2/2 beast Deathrattle. And once again, you see all of these, the Deathrattles chain. So like Razorboar does stuff with Deathrattle. It is a Deathrattle. Razorfen Beastmaster is a Deathrattle. So this is why you got to lean into the Deathrattles. So if you're just looking at it, it's like, well, I'm not going to reach for it. You should reach for it a little bit.
Like if you already have other Deathrattles, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're making the assumption, it's like, well, no, like, I'm just going to play normally. Playing, quote, normally or optimally or whatever actually includes you slightly reaching for Deathrattles now. And this is one of those things where you slightly reach for it and suddenly everything's a lot better because you just should. Like, you
It's a
shouldn't ignore
network synergy, right? We talked about this with like Jades and stuff. This is similar.
Yeah. So Razorbore, 2-mana 2/2 beast, Deathrattle, summon a Deathrattle minion that costs 3 or less from your hand. You can look at it and say, well, wait, why isn't this the same as like a Razorfen Beastmaster? You're limiting your pool by a lot. Because if the effect, if you getting the thing out from your hand is the most important part, you want to cast that wide net. Like, you want that net to be as wide as possible. And over here, you're just really limiting it.
Yeah. Also, 2-mana 2/2s are not as good as 3-mana 3/3s.
Right. They're both bad, but
yeah.
But yes, definitely. And yes, I see people in chat. They're like, "Oh, you could chain them." I mean, yeah, you could chain.
Razorborn to Razorborn to Razorborn, and then you have no cards left and you lose.
Yeah. So after that, we have F, which is Sigil of Silence, 0 mana. At the start of your next turn, this is a shadow spell. At the start of your next turn, silence all enemy minions. Oof. Yeah. F in chat for this big fat F. This is an F. I don't even need to explain this. Delayed silence. Wow. That's good.
Yup.
Yep.
No comment.
That's Demon Hunter.
Yep. That's all Demon Hunter, by the way. So if you're like, this seems underwhelming, you're right. This is crap. This is like, it's a pretty good set. Like, it's not like all classes are like this. It's not like, I mean, overall, the neutrals are just as good as the class cards in this expansion, which is kind of interesting, at least for Arena. But the other classes, like, they pull their weight, right? And they, like, match the neutrals outside of Watchtower in terms of, like, how good stuff is. Demon Hunter doesn't. It's just, it's a bunch of, like their good cards are like, okay, yeah, like, but my class has something. But nothing even approaching A tier. Nothing like their other stuff is trying to do this weird synergy thing with Deathrattles, which is actually functional in Arena, which is nice. Because if this was not functional in Arena, if it was some other synergy, then you'd have a total whiff of a class. But they're not like good, right? Like Razorfen Beastmaster, we rated a C+, and we were we rated a C+, and we were reaching a little there. Like that's all this class has, and it got nerfed when they were going to the core set from before. All of its other cards are nerfed. It's just a kind of a bad class, and when you have a bad class, you have to do one of two things. You either go really, really fast and try to ignore the fact that you're a bad class by being aggro, which Demon Hunters are really good at, or you have to rely on neutral cards, which Forged in the Barrens has really, really, really good neutral cards. So Demon Hunter as a class is not at all dead. Just don't use Demon Hunter cards as much as possible. Just try to be a very fast class, or try to be a very neutral class with a very good hero power. And lean a little into this Deathrattle thing, because you're just going to get offered these cards a bunch.
Yep, that's it. Deathrattle Demon Hunter. I don't know. Like, it's whatever. I don't think anyone asked for it, but it's what you got now.
All right. That's it for our Demon Hunter videos. It's going to be a long one. Hopefully the next ones are a little shorter. We're trying to keep it a bit tighter. One interesting thing about Demon Hunter, though, is that there's only eight cards here. That's not true. There's only 10 cards here because I counted the legendaries. And all of last year, there were additional Demon Hunter cards and fewer neutrals. And now they're like, well, we're doing a core set, so we don't need extra Demon Hunter cards now, which is nice. But it definitely means Demon Hunters feel a little thinner than they did before. Yeah, overall, you know, if you're excited about Demon Hunter in this new expansion, I don't know what kind of a human being you are. But there's nothing to get excited about here.
Sounds good. All right.
That's it for us. Do you want to give some shout outs?
Sure. Okay. Once again, thank you to our Patreons: Nordoge, RV Night Train, Chang Yin, Eric L, Aaron, Dan F, Doug A, Karova, Torjado, REG, 4P, and Brand New. Thank you guys for supporting us.
Thank you to Iggy for vocally supporting the stream and cheering us on.
Yep. Okay, that's it for Demon Hunter. We'll see you in the next video.